Cape York and the Old Telegraph Track. It's one of the most iconic four-wheel drive destinations in Australia. I don't think there's a single four-wheel driver who hasn't at least fantasised about doing it. It's tough, it's remote, it's claimed many a vehicle. It's been on my bucket list ever since I got my first four-wheel drive. So join me as I drive to the most northern point of the Australian continent. The Overland Telegraph Line operated from 1885 until 1962 and was once the only method of communication for those living on Cape York Peninsula. The line was upgraded to radio during World War II and was still used for telephone cable until 1987 when it was finally dismantled. The Old Telegraph Track is what's left of the original road that was used to build and maintain this telegraph line. It's a rough road and it's only accessible during the dry season. It passes through some beautiful country with several creek and river crossings. The track is now in two sections, a northern section and a southern section. There are two bypass roads that allow travellers to get from the Peninsula Development Road to the tip without having to navigate all of those creek crossings and rough roads. Most visitors will take the OTT track north and then return via the bypass roads. Alright, so finally made it, the Old Telegraph Track. All the months of planning and preparation or years of wishing I could do this, and it's all come down to today. So I've picked up a co-pilot. One of my mates, one of his friends is coming with me for the trip. They're all doing the PDR, the bypass track, so he's going to come and enjoy the OTT with me. Anyway, here goes. Just behind Bramwell Station, you're on the Old Telegraph Track, and it doesn't take very long at all before you hit the first big obstacle. Palm Creek. It's not as clear on the video, but trust me, the water in the bottom of that entry is full of gear oil. That's Palm Creek, the original track. Looks almost as bad as Gunshot. Just going to have a look at what other options we've got. Now the bottom of that original Palm Creek entry had far too much gear oil in it for my liking. So a little further up and to the right I found another entry and it looked a lot nicer. Now don't forget, once you get into these creeks, there's also the exit. And just like the entrance into Palm Creek, there are multiple exits for you to choose from as well. Here you can just make out the original exit off in the distance, and boy has it been chewed out. Right, exit out of Palm Creek. We're not taking the original exit, it's just too steep. And I'm going to have to take a run up for this one too. With open diffs, there's just no way I was going to slowly crawl out of this. So the only thing to do was to get back and give it some berries. Let's try to give this one more try. Wow, made it. With Palm Creek out of the way, the next few were set to be a whole lot easier. All along this section of the track, you can see the remnants of the old telegraph line. Sadly, most of the poles have been either knocked or winched down to the ground so people can souvenir the porcelain off the top. But if you keep your eyes open, you will see a couple of them still standing. The landscape is literally covered in these termite mounds, and some of them are like 5-6 meters tall, like this one here. Without a GPS telling you that you were crossing a creek, you could quite easily bypass this one and go on your way thinking that you'd completely missed it. Now at the end of the wet season in May, this will be full of water, but we're now mid-September, and yeah, this creek and the next one completely bone dry. North Alice Creek. Again, no water. Now to give you an indication of what I mean, I've watched some YouTube videos of people coming through this section here around June this year, only a couple of months earlier, and the water is up level with the top of the tyres. Just about to cross the Dalhunty River. It's not a lot of water in it. It still looks quite nice though, but yeah, easy crossing. Heading across Birdie Creek now. Very little water in this one too, but still got those potholes to watch out for. Now you've got to be real careful in Birdie Creek. Sure, the bottom is firm rock, but it's full of these big potholes. 1 minute you can be in 10-20 centimetres of water, the next minute you're down to your chest. Now most of the river crossings are this beautiful crystal clear water, perfect for stopping and having a swim or a quick bite to eat. There's even free places to set up camp, so you can take as long or as little as you want to do the track. So to give you an idea of the time frames, we started the track at around about 8:30 a.m. We got to Birdie Creek around lunchtime. So it was the perfect spot to stop and have a swim and a quick bite to eat before we went about our way. Coming out of Birdie Creek. Birdie Creek now. Just a bit of a soft exit, nothing much, a bit sandy. Doesn't look too bad. Yeah, piece of cake. So here I decided to take one of the more challenging routes up the hill. Now, we could have got out with the max tracks or even just backing up and taking one of the alternate routes, but I think Ed was kind of keen to see the winch in action, so we put it to good use. Now, this is where you get to make a decision. Do you go for the infamous Gunshot Creek, or do you take the bypass? If you do choose Gunshot, you're going to have one more creek crossing before you get there. The infamous Gunshot Creek, possibly the most iconic crossing of the entire track. This is the drop where only the bravest, or perhaps the maddest, drivers take their cars. Had a look at Gunshot. There's no way I'm going down those, but yeah, we're going to go through on the chicken track. I just took a caravan through here. It's pretty impressive to get a caravan this far. Now the cameraman let me down a little bit on this exit because he forgot to record it. Someone else in the crowd, they did, and I did give them my phone number, but yeah, they never contacted me to pass it on, so sadly I don't have any footage of that from the outside. Now like most climbs on this track, I thought at first we'll just try it slow, see if we can crawl up, and if that fails we'll just give it a little bit more each time. So the main thing I was trying to do here is when the front wheels went up into the air, as they came back down and about to hit the ground, I just wanted to back off that accelerator just a little bit. Because if you hit that ground hard while your front wheels are spinning fast, that's when you're going to break your CVs. I actually came back and redid this section of the track about 3 days later and made it up first go because I knew just how much I needed to give it that time. wouldn't you know it, third time's a charm. Now, Cockatoo Creek is pretty shallow, but it does have some holes in some rocks, so you really need to walk it first and pick the line that you're going to take. Sheldon Lagoon really does make it look like croc country, doesn't it? Fortunately, the crossing itself is quite small. And this is where the southern section of the Old Telegraph Track comes to an end. And check out this road. It looks like it's been hit by an earthquake. It's just the way that water has eroded it over the years.
Like an earthquake.
And just a short drive off the track is Fruitbat Falls. It's a very beautiful and a very popular place to go for a swim, and you can see why. drive up to it.
Goddamn son of a bitch! One hand on the steering wheel? What's going on here? What's going on here, Trev?
That's all right. You're allowed that.
You goddamn son of a bitch. Come on, you pussy! Pussy driver.